Today we're taking a look at the brand new 2023 Carbon One by Bowtech Archery. Just a reminder guys, head on over to mikesarchery.com to pick up any of our latest logo gear. We got plenty of hats and shirts as well as any gear you might need for your next adventure. Welcome back to Mike's Archery's YouTube, and here we are again introducing the new 2023 lineup from Bowtech, and they have got some new great stuff for us for this year, starting off with the brand new Carbon One. So Bowtech in the past has had a few carbon risers and they have just been the same riser over and over again, and they've really been on the low end of things. This is the first time that Bowtech has stepped up and done what I would consider a flagship top-end carbon riser bow that can compete with the rest of the market out there. Now they are making this bow in the USA, so coming right out of their factory there, and we're glad to see that because we weren't sure that it was going to be a USA-made bow with all the extra components, but the stamp's right there, so it is. Now looking at the specs on this bow, the speed is coming in at 335 feet per second. The axle to axle is 30 inches, so they went a little shorter than some of the other bows with their axle to axle, but still a great looking bow. And with the cam to cam length at 35 inches on that shorter axle to axle, it's still going to shoot great and feel great in your hand. Now the brace height on this bow is 6.63 inches, so giving it a little higher brace height, not quite 6 3/4, but still right there in the great place to give you good forgiveness in the shot. The reflex measurement on this bow coming in at 4 inches. And then the factory weight on this bow is coming in advertised at 4.5 pounds. Now we threw it on the scale out of the box, and with the dampeners and everything on it, it is 5 pounds even. As we took the Orbit Dampeners off, some of the quiver add-ons here, we got it down to 4.6, so really close to what advertised weight is. But to be honest, out of the box at 5 pounds is a little heavier than what we expected to see. We saw that out of one of the competition's bows here a few years ago with a carbon bow that was pretty heavy. It's one of the reasons you go to a carbon to get that lighter weight riser, and it's just not there. But overall, it looks really cool, has a great look to it. It's just a little heavier at 5 pounds out of the box. Now the draw length on this bow with their flip disc technology is going to be able to adjust from 25.5 on the bottom out to 30.5 on the top end. So you got quite a wide range there fitting most archers. You're going to be able to pick this bow up in a 50, 60, or 70 pound max. They did not offer this bow in 80 pounds. And we're seeing that out of a lot of folks now with 80 pound max. But on this new carbon riser from Bowtech, you're only going to be able to get a max of 70. With an 85% let off on that cam, it does give a nice platform with a great feel, really smooth overall draw cycle, and frankly the best thing we've seen about it is the looks of it. It doesn't look like a traditional carbon riser. It has its own look, different from the competition, and just an overall great feel and great look from this bow. Now some of the features coming from Bowtech, they incorporated most all of their technology into this bow for this year. They give you that DeadLock tuning system, which in our opinion is still probably one of the best tuning systems inside that cam. Being able to adjust that cam left and right with just that simple screw and then locking it down in place, allowing you to tune this bow perfectly with minimal effort, not having to pull shims or axles or anything. Just makes it really nice to work on from a shop standpoint, or you guys that like to tinker at home. From there, they've got the dual lock pockets, and it is one of the things on this carbon riser that we feel brought that weight up, because it's not a true carbon riser all the way to the limb pockets. It's got a large aluminum bracket that bolts into everything, holding everything in place, but that gave Bowtech the ability to give that dual lock pocket system. They also kept with their rotating mods and that flip disc technology, which gives you an ability to adjust this bow from all those draw lengths without changing out base cams or modules, all in the same mod, and then also gives you that ability to flip that disc over and give you not only the comfort setting that the bows come set from the factory with, but also a performance setting that's going to pick you up somewhere between 6 and 10 feet per second depending on the setup. But it gives it a little harsher feel, but it also gives you that extra speed if that's what you're looking for. They did keep with an integrated system on this, so they've got the integrated rest mounting on the back, so you can use that QAD or several other integrated rests that are now on the market. Bowtech being part of the ripcord family, they've got an integrated system, so you can put an integrated ripcord directly on this carbon bow as well. So it just makes it a nice system. If you want to get that sleek integrated feel and look, then you're going to be able to use that on this new carbon riser bow. and you can still mount your traditional rest if you like something else. They also kept their clutch grip system on this bow with the ability to adjust that grip to individual heights at every 1/4 of an inch. You're going to be able to go in there, change out those grips, different colors, different feels, giving you that high wrist, low wrist, whatever that custom feel to you that makes it shoot just right for you. They also kept with the Orbit Dampener system on their bow, taking out vibration in the riser. They got a couple places to mount it there at the top and bottom of the limb pockets on the inside. Just gives you a couple options there, moving it left and right, but keeping those weights centered on the bow. One of the other more unique things about this is they were able to incorporate a 2-piece quiver mounting system with the traditional triangle bracket system. So if you've got some of those different quivers on the market that have that standard triangle bracket, you're able to mount a 2-piece quiver on this bow if that's something you like. I know a lot of Western guys like to do that, but if you still want to use your traditional 1-piece quiver, you can still mount that right on your sight as you always have. With that, they've got 2 mounting positions for your sight. So to get that sight window picture right where you want it, they've got a couple options built into that riser to mount your sight. Still keeping with their flex guard, which takes the torque off the cams, giving a better shot, better feel through, and just keeping it centered as you come through that draw curve. They did keep with double rest holes. If you choose to not use the integrated system and lock everything down with it, you're going to be able to use 2 rest holes there to mount a rest and lock it into position, knowing that it's never going to move. Also, some of the traditional things are the single string stop, as well as a single stabilizer mounting hole up front. But overall, Bowtech has come with something new and innovative, but also using all of their great technologies that they've had over the last few years to bring you an awesome carbon riser bow out of their platform. And so far, what we've seen of it, it is a great feeling and great shooting bow. Now, as far as color options, this bow is going to come in limited colors, all in solids, no camo options. You're able to get this bow in a black, an OD green, which our sample is here, as well as the new smoke gray, and a flat dark earth. So some great solid colors there that are going to work with any color palette, match up with any camo out there, and just make a great looking bow. Now, Bowtech came, as I said, at the top with a flagship model carbon, and it is priced right there with the other flagship model carbons from the competition. It's going to be coming to you at a retail of $1699.99. But frankly, with all the innovations and all the changes and that great tuning from the DeadLock system, it's well worth every penny, and you're going to be able to step into a Bowtech carbon riser to compete with all the other manufacturers out there. Now, from here, we're going to step over to the lane, take a few shots out of this bow, give you a breakdown of how this bow shot as far as speed and noise ratings and just the overall feel of the bow. As usual, we're going to start with that 400 grain arrow and then give you a breakdown all the way from 350 grains out to a 500 grain arrow. And we are going to shoot it on both the comfort and the performance settings to give you a speed breakdown on all those different options. All right, so we've stepped over here to the lane, and with the new Carbon One, we're going to take a few shots and give you a breakdown on speed ratings as well as noise ratings out of this bow. For right now, what you're going to see me pulling is on the performance setting. So we'll start with those numbers, and then we'll give you the comfort setting numbers, which are going to be a little slower. We'll start with that 400 grain arrow and then go from there and then give you a breakdown on the feel. So let's take a couple shots. All right, so with a 400 grain arrow, you are looking at 300 feet per second on the performance settings. Now, when we went to that lighter arrow at 350 grains, this bow jumped up to 319 feet per second. And again, 300 feet per second on 400 grain arrow. With a 450 grain arrow, you've got 283. And then with a 500 grain arrow, you've got 270 feet per second. Now, in comparison, when you flip that over to the comfort setting, and you can see it there in the draw, it comes over a little harsher on the performance setting. It's much smoother on that comfort setting, but obviously you lose a few feet per second. On 350 grain arrow, it dropped down to 311 feet per second, about 8 feet per second slower than performance. With a 400 grain arrow, it dropped to 291, which was about 9 feet per second slower than it was with the performance setting. And then with a 450 grain arrow, you were down to 276, which was about 7 feet per second lower than performance setting. And then with a 500 grain arrow, if you're wanting something quite a bit heavier, you're going to be dropping down to about 264. And again, that's 6 feet per second slower than performance at 270. And this is at 29 inches of draw length, sitting at 70 pounds and then shooting all these arrow combinations, and of course 85% let off on these cams. So overall, our standard settings there. Now, as far as the noise rating on this bow, you're coming in at 94.6 decibels, which we could tell when we got this bow. It's really quiet. Had a good feel to it, and a really quiet bow to shoot, and that's what you're looking for out of a hunting bow. Now, as you're drawing this bow, again, the performance settings got a little bit of a drop off. It's a little harsher on the top end of it. You can tell it's holding that peak weight just a fudge longer than on the comfort settings. But all these bows come from Bowtech set with the comfort settings because that's where most people like to shoot them. Now, if you're the guy that's really chasing speed and wanting everything you can get out of it, maybe you get a short draw length, maybe you're trying to hit a specific number for a reason, then you can move to that performance setting. Just know that the draw cycle is a little harsher, but really not that bad. Even on performance setting, these bows feel really good. And on the comfort setting, we're really pleased with the way that Bowtech feels. They've got a great draw cycle coming over, rolls right into that 85% let off really well, sits really solid, even though it's a cable stop. Bowtech's not known for having a limb stop option. And with these cable stops on here, it comes back, sits really nice, holds really well in your hand. And even though this is a short axle to axle, it feels really stable in your hand. It's got a great overall feel coming through, and just sitting back there, you're able to stand on that wall and get a pretty solid back wall for a cable stop. Now, as far as the grip, that clutch grip system that Bowtech's had for years is a great feeling grip. If you like that thin, narrow grip that's going to sit right in the palm of your hand, not give you any torque issues, then you're going to like a Bowtech grip. It just sits well, it feels great in your hand, and if you do like that little difference of a higher wrist or whatever, you're able to take that clutch grip system, change that out to just tweak it to your perfect setting that's going to feel great in your hand. So Bowtech is advertising this as one of the deadest feeling carbon risers out there, and I'll give it to them. It does not feel like a traditional carbon riser from years past. It's got a very dead in the hand feel. So whatever they're doing with the engineering and design, as well as their Orbit Dampeners, taking the shock out of this bow, it feels exceptionally well after the shot. There are no limb dampeners in these bows from the factory. So again, if you wanted to add something aftermarket, there's not a lot of room in there, but I'm sure you could get a little more out of it. But really and truly, it's got a great feel, sits in your hand, and does not have that vibration that you expect to get out of a carbon riser. Typically, you get that just an extra kick in the palm of your hand from some of them, and this bow is not that way. It sits and feels more like an aluminum bow, and has a great aftershot. So at $16.99, Bowtech has got themselves a winner here. They've come to play, and with a great look and a redesign of everything, I think they've got themselves a winner here. And if you are the guy that's looking for a new carbon bow and you're in that $1,600 to $1,800 price point, and that's where you want to be with your top end bow, then definitely take a look at the new Carbon One from Bowtech, because with all the tunability and shootability of these bows, they have got a winner on their hands, and you just kind of got to put it in your hand and shoot it. So if you want to take a look at the new Carbon One from Bowtech, give us a call here at Mike's Archery, and we'll be glad to get one in your hands.